This video is a part 2 to this video here. If you've got any suggestions for a part 3, including any hints in general from developers and things they've said about the Skywalker Saga, let me know in the comments. Just make sure that none of them are included in the first part or this part. Let's get into things. So the developers have said a lot about LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and in this series we pretty much just go over random things they've said, pretty interesting hints. I've got 5 more here today, so like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new, subscribe to my clips channel. Let's get into it. First of all, we're going to start off with an interview with Anna Bailey, one of the developers on the game, and this dates back to E3 2019. This question was posed to her. With over 200 characters in the Skywalker Saga, what are some of the most obscure or fun characters to play as? And it's a C-3PO feature, which is interesting, because if you watch the first part, we spoke about unique C-3PO features in that. Well, we've got another one here today. Anna replied with this: the fun one is C-3PO, as he splits apart, and he's also quite funny. Now, the splits apart aspect we covered in the last video, but let's get on to this part here. We also got some cover shooting in it as well, and when you break over the cover shooting, he does a little rollover, and the animation is absolutely incredible. So once again, it seems like C-3PO is going to have some pretty funny aspects to him in this game. First of all, in the last video he splits apart. I go more into depth in that video. This time, when they're doing the cover shooting, which you can partially see in the trailers, and it's also a big aspect of The Force Awakens, C-3PO has this unique rollover, which I'm sure is going to be hilarious, considering we know C-3PO doesn't like to really be in battle too much. All I'm going to say is I can't wait to see this. Right, next one. This is an interview with James McLaughlin, one of the developers once again. This dates back to 2019, and he was talking in the interview about how people wanted the grunts over the voices. I discussed this in the last part as well, and this brought them onto the conversation of cheats. Something I've discussed a lot: cheat codes. They're pretty much in every LEGO game, and they can make things pretty overpowered for yourself if you can get all those coin multipliers, invincibility, etc. He was asked about cheats, and he had this to say: you know, we haven't actually done cheats yet. We will do some. There are always cheats. We always look at what is going to be funny here or funny there. We just haven't got to that stage yet. Right now, we're just trying to get the main thing together and playable from start to finish. So it's just nice to get an acknowledgement actually on cheats. The question is, are they going to be in there at launch? We know we're going to have a few from the LEGO set boxes, like the Palpatine cheat code and the Resistance Transport cheat code. But what about the ×2 multiplier, ×4, ×6? Are those cheat codes going to be in at launch if you can find them? Are they going to be added along the line? Are they going to be cheat codes for everything this time round, or are they going to be a bit more restricting, considering this is the biggest LEGO game of all time? I don't know, but he does confirm here that yes, we will do some. Now let's go over to the Blocks magazine from August 2020, where there was an interview with a LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga developer. And listen to this very interesting point. The film studios review all my dialogue and will feed back if anything is a little off voice. With it being a LEGO game, we do want to be able to have some fun with the characters and push them in some daft directions. The film studios help us toe that line carefully so we can stay faithful to the world while still having fun with the characters. They are also crucial when writing dialogue for new characters or those who haven't spoken yet, like Yaddle, a background character that we were desperate to include. Lucasfilm guided us through that process, and we had a back and forth with them to make sure we got the voice just right. So not only does this confirm Yaddle is going to speak, which when I think of that in my head, I just think of a more female sounding Yoda with obviously the back to front speech, but also it pretty much confirms that there's going to be a lot of other background characters that are going to be speaking in this game, like Yaddle possibly, for the first time ever in Star Wars. There's a lot of other Jedi Council members that will probably make it into this game and have never spoken before. We may finally get to hear what Coleman Trebor sounds like. I'm Imagine the scenes, guys. Imagine the scenes. What background character do you really want to hear for the first time in LEGO Star Wars? Now let's talk about progression for a second. How is the world unlocking going to go? How are you going to know what planets you can explore and what planets you can't? Let's listen to what James McLaughlin said, you guessed it, in 2019 as well. All this stuff, most of it is from 2019 because that's when they spoke so much about the game in comparison to now.
So for the open world aspect of the game, are you locked out of other parts of the game, or can you just explore what you want, or you have to follow the movie's script?
So the way we've done it is essentially as you play through an episode, planets you go to actually unlock in space. So essentially the galaxy expands the more through the story you play. So you could play all the way through New Hope, then start in Force Awakens, and then return to Tatooine if you wanted to. So the more you play through an episode, the more planets unlock as you go along.
So this may seem like an obvious one to most people. It's kind of like the system works in the Force Awakens game, but I do like it. So planets unlock for you to explore as you complete those specific episodes. So for example, let's do this in a really random order. You start off with episode 9, you're probably going to unlock planets like Pisana, like Exegol, and then you go to episode 2 and you're going to unlock planets like Geonosis, Camino. And because you're doing it in that order, those planets then will be unlocked to free roam. So not just to go into to do levels, but also the planets themselves when you're in the open world element of the game where you're going from planet to planet. Those specific planets that you have unlocked through playing in the movies will then be unlocked. So if you do it in a random order, like I said, from episode 9 to episode 2, the planets are going to unlock in that order, so you're not going to have the planets yet from episode 1 or episode 7, despite having the planets from episode 2 and episode 9. It's really cool, and look, in the end you're going to have every planet, but I think it would be rather interesting to do it in this order and really just have a mix and match of loads of different planets that are from different movies, different eras of Star Wars. And finally on this list we have a bit of a weird one, because this poses more questions than answers, to be honest, so we should definitely talk about this one in the comments. Jack and Ryan, two of the developers, in fact you may remember me just over a week ago talking about Jack actually leaving TT Games, but they had this interesting exchange on Twitter which I'm just going to read out for you now. Jack says, "Cheers man, still think I've got PTSD from doing episode 9 content." Ryan replied with this, "Please don't remind me, somehow it's the most fun I've had and the most miserable I've been whilst working on the game." What does that mean? I mean, it's really conflicting emotions. Fun and miserable are very different things. PTSD from the episode 9 content? What was this episode 9 content causing? What was the meaning behind this? Obviously they've said in many interviews that they weren't given much access to episode 9 until it came out, other than what we saw in the trailers. Now whether you want to believe that, I don't know, because they may not tell us everything. But were they not having fun because of them not liking the movie, maybe? Was it just because of things going on behind the scenes, maybe with this WB Discovery merger on its way some point in the future? Is it the 2 delays have kind of made it a bit of a difficult atmosphere, let's say, at TT Games? I don't know, I'm honestly just speculating there, by the way. Let me know what you think this one means in the comments, and what on earth went on with the episode 9 content. And that is where we're going to leave it. Remember, suggestions for a part 3, if you've got any, make sure they weren't in this part or the first part. Like if you enjoy, everyone, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in the next one.